Hi, welcome to the corner of the multiverse where I read comics until 5 a.m. so you don't have to. Today's character origin we're going to be going over is none other than the infamous and elusive T.O.Morrow, the Man of Tomorrow here today. He's mostly known for his creation that joins the Justice League, the Red Tornado, amongst many other androids throughout DC Comics, but today we're going to be talking a bit more about him and where he came from. And after hours of reading comics and wanting to pull my hair out and lose my sanity temporarily, I think I finally got enough information on him for you, so I hope you enjoy. Now, his first technical appearance was in Adventure Comics number 86 back in 1943, and I say technically because he is a man who appears as a scientist known as T.O.Morrow, but that's about the only similarities he shares with the other versions that we'll go over later. In this old school comic, he is a villain to the hero's shining knight. With the name T.O.Morrow, he tries to convince others that he is a man of the future, and much like any villain, thanks to the help of all of his goons, he is able to pull this lie off to everyone, with the exception of our hero, Shining Knight. He puts on a fake science show with the sleight of hand and the help of his goons. He creates a new material thanks to the help from this time that he needs to take back to his time. In all reality, he's using the magic trick of a science show to steal from the building next to him. Unfortunately, when he goes to make his escape into the future, his box was occupied by none other than Shining Knight. And like the hero he is, he stopped T.O.Morrow and had him arrested, and the day was saved. Though this offers no insight to the T.O.Morrow we are familiar with, I thought it was a cool little fact to include the first appearance of the name. Dr. Thomas Oscar Morrow. T.O.Morrow would make his first appearance as we know him in The Flash Volume 1, issue number 143 in 1964. He was created by Gardner Fox and Carmen Infantino. Thomas is a man who looks a bit like the KFC colonel turned scientist. He is obsessed with the future, and according to him, his obsession is due to his own name. He is a man of high intelligence who somehow had to make it big as a scientist, even though we are never told how he affords his experiments or his lab. The man known as Dr. T.O.Morrow created a computer that could allow him to gaze into the future, with the only catch being that he couldn't see up to 100 years from his current time. So he could gaze far into the future, but he couldn't find out anything about himself. He goes on to create amazing technology that he reverse engineers from the future in the now, and instead of taking this technology and using it for the betterment of mankind, he decides to become a villain. He is even able to reverse engineer a fourth dimensional grappling claw that allows him to steal money from banks without ever breaking a sweat and without the risk of being caught. In a true villainous manner though, he gets bored and it gets to where it's not enough for him. He ends up creating a cloning machine and decides to use it on the Air Force pilot Hal Jordan. After creating these clones, he questions them, finding out everything about Hal Jordan, and yes, this includes being the Green Lantern. Finding everything out, he decides to modify these clones to be better than Hal by removing his weakness to yellow and even altering some of the rings to be yellow. A simple feature for someone who reverse engineers tech from the future, I'm sure. He ends up sending the Flash and Green Lantern on a chase by sending the clones to rob 3 different places scattered over the world, and with the clones having none of the weaknesses of Hal Jordan, they use the rings against him to prove to be a challenge. Eventually, T.O.Morrow is discovered by the duo and he tricks them into a building rigged with a bomb. Upon believing that he did away with the duo, he went to leave only to find that the Flash and the Green Lantern were still alive. Trying to escape, he trips and falls over a railing and plummets down to his death. Or so we are led to believe, because in Justice League of America, Volume 1, issue number 64, we find that he didn't die, but instead he slipped between dimensional barriers and traveled to Earth 2. Much like the villain he is, he decides to cause havoc in this Earth as well, and with the help of his future predicting computer, he sets out to rob the 20th Century Museum. But his computer informs him that he will only succeed if he creates the Red Tornado. He uses his resources and his intelligence to create the humanoid Red Tornado to join the Justice League of America. Lo and behold, his future predicting computer was right, and thanks to the Red Tornado, the JSA could not stop T.O.Morrow from robbing the 20th Century Museum. However, when Red Tornado woke up, he wasn't happy to find out what happened and decided to try to find the source of what went wrong, leading him to T.O.Morrow. This encounter causes T.O.Morrow to be thrown around like a rag doll by Red Tornado, but inevitably coming out on top, and unfortunately for T.O.Morrow, his computer tells him that he needs to keep the Red Tornado alive for his next heist to come out perfectly. And the computer proved right yet once again. The T.O.Morrow's heist went off perfectly without a hitch when Red Tornado caused the JSA to fail yet again, leaving T.O.Morrow on top and ready to try to take out the Justice League. One issue though. He decides to stop listening to his computer. His computer tells him that the only way his plan to overcome the Justice League will fail is if Red Tornado intervenes. And he says that this isn't possible, he just killed the Red Tornado. He decides to go through with his plan anyways, and the crazy part is, he actually succeeds. He goes through, makes clones of the partners of the Justice League, and takes down half of them with a kiss of death. Then he creates his own creatures involving the weaknesses of the other heroes to take down the rest. A dragon with kryptonite teeth for Superman, a yellow griffin for Green Lantern, and a human-demon hybrid looking thing for the human heroes. After a bit of fun, he releases the clones and lets them find him and goes, "Haha, you thought I'd actually fight you? No, nice try." And then he releases clones of past enemies to fight them. This includes Amazo, Starro, a diamond creature with a magic bell from Felix Faust, Dr. Light with yellow orbs, and Super Duper. That's right, Super Duper. You know, a machine that has parts of Hawkman, Flash, and Wonder Woman. He's in taking down the Justice League, and he turns to his computer to figure out what is he going to do now. His computer tells him he will succeed in anything he does if Red Tornado does not stop him. Being pretty confident, he believes his computer to still be broken, and he writes off a lot of things because, you know what? You guessed it, the Red Tornado wakes up on Earth too and proceeds to make his way to T.O.Morrow over here on Prime Earth. As T.O.Morrow prepares to break the dimensional barrier between the worlds and cause a literal war of the worlds, he is stopped by a swooping in, half-revived Justice League and Red Tornado, who, surprise surprise, his computer was right, put an end to his scheme and was able to help resurrect the rest of the Justice League and save the day. Now, even though he was arrested, I ask you this, does being arrested ever work in comics? If you answered no, you're right, because guess who's back and ready to go after the League yet again? That's right, T.O.Morrow, but this time it's out of fear for his own life, because now he trusts his all-knowing computer, and when it tells him that there's a deadline he has to meet where the League dies or he will cease to exist, he actually listens to his computer. Unfortunately for T.O.Morrow, nothing is going according to plan. When he brings back the Red Tornado, he puts a device in the Justice League communicator he has that should kill everyone there when it's pressed. But the Justice League finds it suspicious that Red Tornado comes back the same time T.O.Morrow does, and they turn him away. Red Tornado decides to go live a regular life since the Justice League turned him away, but this doesn't set right with T.O.Morrow because the deadline is coming closer and closer. So T.O.Morrow keeps trying to send a bunch of hectic things towards the Red Tornado's way to get him to press the communicator to signal the Justice League. However, every single time it is met by a Justice League member being there to help stop the situation to begin with. And though Red Tornado starts growing suspicious, thinking that they don't trust him, little does he know that they're really saving everyone's life. Because that's right, they were already on top of T.O.Morrow's plan to begin with, and they were there to stop him when he decided it wasn't good enough to wait for Red Tornado to press the button. He would go out and press it himself to kill the Justice League. But they made the biggest mistake that T.O.Morrow used to make as well. They didn't believe him when he told them about the predictions of his computer. Unfortunately, when time's up, they see that the computer was right, as T.O.Morrow vanishes from existence due to the Justice League still being there. In Super Team Family number 11 in 1977, we find out that fading from existence doesn't necessarily mean we stop existing, as T.O.Morrow makes yet another return and with a cool new outfit. It is never explained in this issue how exactly he was torn from the existence he once knew, but he ended up on a sentient planet finding a rod that allows him to control that alien planet. He decides to take on Supergirl, Flash, and the Atom, though to no surprise whatsoever, despite the power of an entire alien planet, he still couldn't defeat them, and thanks to the Flash and the Atom teaming up and taking down the planet on an atomic level, this leads to Supergirl taking down T.O.Morrow and taking him back to Earth to be arrested. In The World's Finest Volume 1, issues 265 through 68, which were published through 1980 and 81, T.O.Morrow makes another revival appearance with a big change this time, now being known as T.O.Morrow, Man of the Future. Turns out that when he vanished from existence, part of him was stuck in a void where he absorbed a bunch of energy, evolving him into his current state. He found a way to leave the void and make his way back to his base to start his next plan, which was to kidnap Red Tornado's body. We find out it's due to his own body dying. He intends to use the android's body to sustain himself. It turns out being stuck in a void though teaches you how to throw hands, because T.O.Morrow actually fought by himself and won for once. So he transfers his consciousness into the body of Red Tornado and takes over the life of John Smith, which, if you didn't know, is Red Tornado's everyday name. But even the Tomorrow Man didn't learn from the past, because he didn't kill off Red Tornado, and it comes back to bite him in the rear when Red Tornado comes back in the body of Tomorrow Man to fight him. And even though it's a losing battle, there's an incident that happens with his adoptive daughter that jeopardizes her life, and this allows John Smith's conscious to take back his own body and save his daughter, inevitably saving the day and putting an end to Tomorrow Man. Now we can look forward to Post-Crisis, where in 52, Volume 1, Number 2, in 2006, we can see T.O.Morrow, who is locked up in a prison without access to technology at all, for fear that he might start Machine War 1. It is referenced to in this issue that he is locked up for trying to start war between two worlds. This is a reference to his pre-crisis when he took down the Justice League of America and the Justice League. The machine he was making when finally being brought down was supposed to remove the dimensional barrier between two worlds, so it would seem his origin in 52 is the same as his pre-crisis. Although, this is where we get to see him in my favorite version, where he looks like a Hawaiian tourist. In Forever Evil, a story in 2007 of the evil versions of Justice League come to take on the Earth, we can see T.O.Morrow working as a scientist for Star Labs under Silas Stone. However, despite looking as if he is a good guy or not, we never really know for sure, seeing how he's only in 2 pages and it never gives us any information on how he got to work there. But it does seem that him and Silas are close colleagues, if not friends, in the storyline. Now, if we rewind the clocks back to 1988 for The Flash Volume 2, issue number 19, we get to see a different side of T.O.Morrow, Tomek Ovadia Mora, where one of the times he looks into his computer to gaze into the future, he found something that broke him and left him being a shell of his former self. We see him at the Rogues Gallery party, and the only time we really see him is when he starts drinking, saying how useless everything is. So there it is. There is our fun, fascinating character origins for T.O.Morrow, the Man of the Future, stuck here in today's time. If you are a fan of T.O.Morrow and you want to read all of his amazing feats that he accomplishes, I will leave down in the description an entire list of all the comics he appears in for you. I do warn you, however, though, things get really weird in them, and I personally had to take a break between them because there was just so many questions that were left unanswered and so many cliffhangers. So many volumes between actually getting any answers for anything. But you know what? The fun thing about comics is we get to like who we like with very little judgment, except for maybe from the outside world. With that being said, down in the comments section, let me know who your favorite DC character is, or maybe someone you just personally want to know more information about. Because here in our corner of the multiverse, we want to know about anybody and everybody. And yes, that includes all the people that are hard to find any information about. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and let me know I did a good job with this. And feel free to hit that subscribe button while you're at it, because in the future, we do have more character origin stories from DC Comics headed your way. And always remember, take care of yourself and be nice to others, because we all start from level 1. Just some of us put our points into the wrong stats. Until next time, see ya!